I was not a very good brother to you, was I?
No, you weren't.
Ever since its first season premiered on NBC back in September of 2016, it didn't take long for This Is Us to become one of the most popular staples of the network, leading to around 10 Emmy nominations in 2017 alone. And with a selection of cast members that gave their everything along with more than a few powerful moments, it's really no wonder that the series has been able to last for a total of 5 seasons so far. But which powerful This Is Us moments were actually unscripted, and how often did cast performance result in the eventual changing of the script? Well, whether you're a fan of the franchise or just want to know more about the various ways in which the show has changed over the years, you've come to the right place, as we're about to explore some of the best unscripted moments of This Is Us so far. So strap yourselves in and get ready for a dramatic ride, as things are about to get interesting. But before we get into it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of the new videos we post. 1. The haircut scene. This Is Us is considered by many to be one of the greatest dramas in the history of television. The show blurs the lines between comedy, romance, family, and sadness, incorporating each of these categories into one another in a manner that doesn't seem at all forced. Look at the Memphis episode in Season 1, for example, which made viewers cry tears of sadness only to learn the importance of family along the way. And of all the cast members that have made us feel things over the years, Ron Cephas Jones is probably the most talented, known by fans for his portrayal of William, the biological father of Randall. But this wasn't always the case. In fact, fans had absolutely no idea how important William would become to the show, with even the showrunners having to change things in an effort to drive his character home. You see, as great as the writing of the show was, Ron decided to take things into his own hands on one occasion, actually speaking from the heart and ensuring that the moment was felt by audiences all across the globe. There's only so much that static writing can do when it comes to evoking emotion after all. So when Ron was given the script for the Memphis episode, he decided to make a few changes when he was in his dressing room. You know that moment when William takes Randall to Memphis to bond through the act of getting their hair cut? Well, as it turns out, that entire scene was improvised by Ron Cephas Jones. The conversation that he has with Randall regarding his first haircut ever was actually a true one from the life and times of Ron, which he pulled on earlier this season as well when discussing the cutting of Randall's daughter's hair. With just a few honest lines of dialogue, Ron was able to not only make his way into our hearts, but connect the two scenes by finally telling Randall the truth of the story that he had referenced earlier. It really did seem like a brilliant form of writing, but as it turns out, this was nothing more than Ron riffing with Sterling K. Brown about his very first haircut. And as we could see by the outcome, there is nothing better and more heartwarming than an actor making himself vulnerable to reach the epitome of drama. So we find ourselves having to thank Ron Cephas Jones for this incredible moment that solidified his character as one of the people to watch throughout the runtime of the show. This was far from his last unscripted moment, though. 2. The segregation scene. Another incredible scene that was completely improvised came from that very same Memphis episode and saw William showing Randall a pair of water fountains in the town he grew up in. What resulted from this showing was a heartbreaking yet powerful moment in which William told Randall all about the segregation that he experienced in the town back before the onset of the civil rights movement. Before African Americans were given the right to live alongside white Americans as equals, they were segregated, which was the purpose of the 2 water fountains in front of them. One fountain was meant for African Americans, while the other drinking fountain was kept open for Caucasians who didn't want to drink from the same fountain as those who were considered to be lesser than them. The 2 actors then proceeded to each drink from the whites-only fountain, showing just how far the town had come. Extremely powerful stuff right there, and 100% unscripted. As it turns out, the script had absolutely nothing in it regarding the segregation of black and white people prior to the civil rights movement. William was just supposed to walk Randall past the water fountains and continue with his tour of the town, but Ron Cephas Jones took this as an opportunity to go off on a tangent and speak about his own experiences once more. In a moment of raw potential, Sterling K. Brown took the opportunity to respond as a younger black man, creating a moment which is now considered to be one of the greatest in the history of television. With moments like this, it's really no wonder that the season walked away with 10 nominations, including that of Outstanding Drama Series. Who knew that this incredibly memorable moment was actually unscripted? Producer John Requa actually commented on this unscripted scene when asked about it, saying, "This is just something I saw on a location scout, and I came up to Sterling and Ron and said, 'Tell me, is this within the bounds of good taste?' They then came up with that scene scene by themselves. We just rolled on it. But as it turns out, Brown was far from finished when it came down to the improvisation of later scenes. 3. Randall's most recognizable phrases. When it came to the overall running of This Is Us, executive producers on set made it known that actors would have a certain amount of leeway when it came to the performances that they were asked to give. And as time went by, Sterling K. Brown became known as the king of improvisation. Not only did he have to keep up with the genius that was Ron Cephas Jones, as we just saw in the previous 2 scenes, he also took a lot of initiative when it came to the overall development of his character. Each and every day saw Brown approaching the production team to give suggestions on whom he thinks his character should become, and as a young black man himself, the production team knew that these suggestions would be helpful to listen to. But it wasn't just his overall character development that Randall played a part in. Some of Randall's most poignant phrases were actually made up by him on the spot. He became known on set for adding subtle but effective tweaks to his lines, which often resulted in responses that were a lot more natural than they would have been if following the script word for word. An incredible moment that cannot be forgotten about is the scene where Randall and his father are arguing in a predominantly white neighborhood. Out of the corner of his eye, Brown caught a glimpse of a family of Caucasian extras standing nearby to the door of their home, which caused him to ad-lib the line, "Hi, white people, just your friendly neighborhood black man." And while this may have been one of the funniest moments from the season, it also weighed heavily by communicating the fact that he and his father were indeed in a predominantly white neighborhood. And while segregation of race is no longer entrenched in America, there's no doubt that segregation of financials is still ongoing, which is why many middle-class African Americans don't feel at home in their own neighborhoods. Such a powerful feeling that was originally left out of the script, communicated straight from the improvised lips of Sterling K. Brown. Sterling also improvised the line of, "I'm still black," when hearing the police sirens after getting into a fist fight with Kevin in the middle of Times Square, which humorously summed up the feeling most African Americans feel when confronted by the police. And in addition to improvising his own scenes, Sterling also made a point of pitching ideas to the production staff regarding the general flow of the show, amongst other things. As it turns out, he was the one who actually suggested that the show tackle the background of how Beth and Randall actually met. When speaking about this creative moment of his, Sterling summed it up by saying, "Very often you choose somebody who looks like your mom, but Randall makes the conscious choice to be with a black woman, and I really wanted to explore that." Considering how this is now a fan-favorite storyline, there's no doubt that Sterling definitely earned his paycheck that day. 4. Unscripted pain. The production crew expect the very best emotional performances from cast members on set, which is especially true when it comes to the filming of a drama along the lines of This Is Us. But sometimes the scene that an actor is asked to perform in is far too similar to a situation that the actor has already been in, allowing for an incredible performance that shows nothing more or less than raw emotion. And surprisingly enough, it was Mandy Moore, who is known for her portrayal of Rebecca on the show, who was able to draw on her past experiences to make for one of the greatest scenes of the runtime of the show. Without having to pinpoint particular scenes, fans of the series will be well aware that Rebecca and Jack, as portrayed by the enigmatic Milo Ventimiglia, had quite a few words with one another. Their relationship was turbulent, to say the least. What do you think of these unscripted moments? Feel free to let us know in the comment section down below.